Oh, hey, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Pearson here. I'm so excited to be teaching you another reading lesson today. We're going to have so much fun. Are you ready to learn? I know I am. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to go over today's I can statements. The first one says, I can ask and answer questions using the words who, what, when, where, why, and little baby how when reading a nonfiction book. So we're going to continue reading about dirt today. Your other I can statement says, I can ask and answer questions during and after the book. So we're going to go back and try to answer some of those questions that we wrote yesterday. We're going to continue to write more questions as we read and then after we're done reading. Remember, all of our questions are going to begin with one of these 6 question words. Do you have your 5W hand yet? Because if you don't, you should have one. Go ahead and make one if you don't already have one in your reading area. This is going to help you to remember to ask and answer questions while you're reading. So look at my hand. Let's read these words one more time. Who, when, where, what, why, and how. So we're going to have all of these words at the beginning of our questions today. All right, this is our book that we started yesterday. I learned some really cool stuff, some interesting science information. We're going to continue to learn even more as we read it and finish it. So the title of this book is Dig In, Learn About Dirt by Pamela Hall. It is a nonfiction book filled with all kinds of interesting real facts. Okay, so if you don't already have your graphic organizer from yesterday, you can pause this video and you can either print it out or you can make one with a piece of paper. Remember, to make one, you just need to fold your piece of paper into 3 parts and write the words before, during, and after at the top. And like I said, if you have one from yesterday, pull that out and we'll continue using it. If you need to pause the video to go grab your graphic organizer, go make your graphic organizer, get a pencil too so that you can do your writing. All right, so I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you have your graphic organizer and you're ready to begin. Yesterday, we came up with some great questions. Let's go back and review the questions that we wrote and see if we have the answers to those questions yet. The first question says, what is dirt? Do we have an answer? Yes, we do. Dirt is another word for soil. It's the word that scientists use for dirt or soil. Our next question is, where is dirt? Where is the dirt? Do you know? Yep, dirt is all over the earth. It covers most of our earth. What are sand, silt, and clay? Do you remember those words from yesterday? Do you remember what they mean? So sand, silt, and clay make up our soil or our dirt. Clay is sticky, sand is dry and grainy, and silt is powdery and slippery. So they're all different, but they all make up our dirt. Why is dirt important? Did we have an answer for that? We didn't. So hopefully we will find the answer to that question today after we're done reading. And then, how is dirt made? So do you remember how dirt was made? The rain, the sun, the wind, and the ice broke down big rocks, just like sandpaper. And over time, over hundreds and thousands of years, rocks break down, and that is how dirt is made. Okay, so we will come back and we will ask some more questions after we're done with our book. But for now, we're going to go to our book, which is Dig In, Learn About Dirt. Let's take a look at our table of contents, see if we can come up with even more questions to ask before we continue reading. We're going to start with chapter 4 today, which is Rich Black Humus. Do you know what humus is? What is humus? That would be a great question to ask, wouldn't it? If you want to pause the video, write any of these questions down as we come up with them, you can. Make sure you have a few questions on your graphic organizer, though. Another chapter we're going to read today is air and water. Air and water. How do air and water have anything to do with dirt? Mix it up. So mix it up. And then this chapter says we need dirt. So why do we need dirt? How does dirt help us? Those would be quite good questions to ask for that chapter. And then our last chapter it's already a question. It starts with the word what. What makes dirt? So we will find out maybe what things make up dirt or what is inside of dirt. And then at the back of the book, it says words to know. That's another word for the glossary, which is that nonfiction text feature that tells us what words mean. So we can use that as a tool as we read to help us figure out what some of those words mean. Let's take a look back at some of the pages we read yesterday, just to kind of refresh our memory. It's always nice to kind of go back and reread, but we're going to kind of just summarize by looking at the pictures and looking at the important words. So on this page, the heading says delightful dirt. We learn about ways that you can use dirt. So you can play in dirt, you can plant in dirt, you can dig it. Dirt has lots of different uses. Oops, I skipped a page. Let me go back. Where is dirt? So we answered that question yesterday. Dirt is all around us. It covers up our earth, and it's in gardens. It's at the bottom of lakes. It's everywhere. Sand, silt, and clay. We learned about these three words. We learned about sand, silt, and clay. When you look at them under a microscope, they look really big. Sand is the biggest. Silt and clay are a lot smaller. Here were some of these words, sand, silt, and clay, which we can find in the back of our book in the glossary if we need to go back and really refresh ourselves with that definition or what the word means. Oop. Okay, let's see. And here we learned how dirt is made. We learned that dirt comes from big rocks that are worn down over hundreds and thousands of years when the rain, the wind, the ice, and the sun wear the rocks down kind of like sandpaper. So they rub against the rocks and little pieces come off, and that makes our dirt. So this is some new information. We're going to start reading here today. The title of this chapter is Rich Black Humus. And let's find out what humus is. What is humus? Why is it important? Is your soil dark and wet? It could have a good amount of humus. This is the richest part of dirt. It helps plants grow. Humus, there's that colored word. That means it's important and it's in our glossary. Soil rich in humus has nutrients plants need. So nutrients and humus are two big vocabulary words. We can check them out in our glossary. So in the back of the book, you can click here and it'll take you to the glossary. Here we see humus. Humus is rich soil made from dead plants and animals. Humus makes good soil for a garden. So humus must be that dark, rich soil that I have in my backyard garden, and that's helping all my plants grow healthy and strong. And then nutrients is right down below it. And it says that nutrients are used by living things to stay healthy. Humus has lots of nutrients. So those are like vitamins and minerals, things that are really healthy. Oops. Okay, so I think I have a question that I've got going on in my brain. I'm thinking, why is humus so rich? So what causes it to become so rich and so dark? How does it get rich? And when we hear the word rich, sometimes we think of like that means like you have a lot of money. But in this book, rich means that it has a lot of nutrients. So can you think of a question? Maybe you'd like to pause the video and write it in your graphic organizer, or maybe you'd like to pause the video and say it out loud to me. Great job. Good question. So my question was, why is humus so rich, filled with so many nutrients? Humus began with dead plants and animals. It also needed millions of tiny creatures. These creatures live in soil. Most of them are so small you would need a microscope to see them. The creatures break down leaves, bones, and more. They turn dead things into rich, dark humus. Wow, you guys. So, humus are these millions of little creatures. They're so tiny, we can't even see them. We would need a really strong microscope to see them. That's how teeny tiny they are. And they're taking those dead plants and animals and they're breaking them down and turning them into this rich, rich humus. So that sounds kind of gross, dead plants and animals. But you know what? This is science. And sometimes science is dirty and kind of weird and kind of different, unusual. And that's okay because it's part of our earth and it's important to know these things. So in one handful of dirt, there could be more tiny creatures than all of the people on earth. That is incredible. Wow, my brain can't even comprehend that. That's amazing to me. Air and water. Is your soil loose and crumbly? It has lots of air spaces in it. Plant roots may have made the soil loose. Wriggling worms and other animals probably helped too. Loose soil lets water drip down. Plants suck up the water through their roots. Soil's living creatures do best when their home has plenty of air and water. This caption that goes along with this picture here says moles loosen soil by digging tunnels under the ground. So this is a mole, which is a type of animal, and they dig underground tunnels. So they're helping the soil by when they build tunnels because they're letting air and water get down into the soil. So that makes our soil very healthy. This caption says roots spread out to help hold plants in place. So again, those roots are really good in the soil because they're creating air and space for water to get in. So I want to know, why is air and water so important to have in soil? That would be a good question to ask. And it starts with the word why. Mix it up. Compare a desert and a farm. Both are covered in soil, but the soil in each place is very different. Soil's ingredients mix in different ways. Soil is different in different places. So this caption is showing a desert. It says desert soil is often dry and rocky. This caption is pointing to a farm and it's saying the best farm soil is dark and moist. Dark and moist. So that's like humus, like that dark, rich soil that's filled with lots of nutrients. So I'm thinking of a good question. Can you pause the video and think of a good question to write on your graphic organizer? And then when you're ready, you can unpause the video. Okay, do you have your questions? So I'm thinking of a question that starts with the word where. I want to know, where is there sandy soil? And where is there soil with lots of humus or nutrients? Soil can change for many reasons. These include what the weather is like, the way the land is, which plants are growing in it, which creatures live in it, and how people farm in it. Farmers have to take care of soil to make sure it is good for plants. So here's a picture of a farmer taking care of his soil, but I want to know, how do farmers take care of their soil for plants? What are some different ways that they care for their soil? Do you have any questions for this page? If so, write them down. We need dirt, but one thing is certain. You eat plants that grow in soil, or you eat animals that eat those plants. Without soil, there would be no food. Believe it or not, your life depends on dirt. Wow. So what would our earth be like if we didn't have dirt? Ooh, that would be a pretty bad place, huh? I mean, we need our dirt to grow food. So if we didn't have dirt, we might not have food, and that's pretty bad, huh? Do you have any more questions? Hmm. Now that we're done with our story, we can ask some more questions in the after part of our graphic organizer. So I'm going to go to my after reading question section, and I'm going to write a couple questions down. If you want to go ahead of me and write some of your questions down in your graphic organizer, you can pause the video and write those questions down, or you can follow along with me and write some of my questions down. I'm thinking of some questions now that I'm done. And my first question is going to start with the word what. I want to know, what are some things found in soil or dirt? And I also want to know, who needs soil? And I was also really thinking about all those, remember they were talking about those millions of creatures that live in the soil and you can't even see them because they're so tiny? I want to know, what are the creatures that live in dirt called? I want to know if they have another name. Even though the book didn't tell us the name of those creatures, I kind of want to know, what is the name of those creatures? So maybe I could go on the internet later and do some research and find out some more answers to those questions. So sometimes when you write questions, you might have to do some extra research. You might not find every single answer to your question in your book. You might have to go and read another book or go online. But I think that we can answer some of these questions from the book. The first one said, what are some things found in soil? Do you remember any of the things that we had found and that they talked about finding in soil? I remember they talked about when the rocks break down, sometimes there's like clay, and sometimes there's silt, and sometimes there's sand. But there's other things that live in soil too. Excuse me, like plants and animals. Sometimes those plants and animals are alive, and sometimes they're dead. The book talked about how roots are in soil. Roots grow down into the soil and they make space for air and water. Oh, speaking of air and water, are those things found in soil? Mm-hmm. There's that really dark, rich soil called humus. There's rocks in soil. I know when I'm digging in my garden, I find all kinds of rocks in my soil. So there are so many things in soil. I'm sure there's way more than this, but these are just some of the things that the book talked about. So we can go back. If you know more things, you can add more things on your graphical organizer as well when you're answering your questions. The next question says, who needs soil? Do you remember who needs soil? So yeah, we need soil. Humans need soil. We do. Plants need soil. Animals need soil. So there are a lot of different things that need soil. If we didn't have soil, we wouldn't have food, right? And then that would be a big problem. So we did a really good job asking and answering questions. We answered questions before we read, during our reading, and then when our reading was over. So I think we did a great job. I learned a lot of new information about dirt. I don't know about you. And I had fun. Okay, so I have a really fun activity for you guys today. I thought that we could make some edible soil. The word edible means that you can eat it. And so I know that in real life, if you went outside and dug up a little dirt from the ground, would you want to eat that dirt? No, probably not. But when I teach about soil and science in my classroom, I love to make edible dirt or edible soil. So we can do that today, and you can use things that you have in your pantry, in your kitchen. And everything that you use, you need to make sure that it's okay with an adult that you use it. Maybe have an adult help you do this and make sure everything is edible. So let's see, I found some cookies and some crackers in my pantry. And so I took a cracker and I mashed it up. And I think it kind of looks a little like sand. So I'm going to say that this is like my sand. And we know that we can find sand in soil, right? So this is going to be some sand. It smells so good. It's going to make my edible soil taste delicious. All right, so what else can we put in our edible dirt? We have our sand. What else can we put in our dirt? What about maybe how about like some silt or some clay? We know we need silt or clay. I found some brown sugar in my pantry. And so I'm going to put a little bit of silt in my soil, and then I'll put a little bit of the clay in my soil. Okay, so I have my my three different things in here: my silt, my clay, and my sand. And mix them up. This soil is looking really yummy. Look at it. All right, next up, how about, what else do we need to put in our soil? Maybe like some rocks. We could do some rocks. So how about some little mini marshmallows? Should we put some little mini marshmallows? Those could be rocks. Maybe some ice. I don't know. Rocks, ice. You can be creative. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just use whatever you have and use your imagination, make believe. Mix those up in there. Got our rocks. How about some roots? We need some roots in our soil. So I have some chocolate chips, a couple roots in my dirt. Some roots. Oh, and maybe some humus. We talked about that rich, dark soil that's really filled with nutrients. So we've got some humus. This is some mashed up cookie that I found in my pantry. So I'm going to pour a little bit of that in there. Some humus. And then, of course, we need some water. How about some water? We could use a little bit of real water, but I thought it'd be fun to use some chocolate sauce. Because who doesn't want some chocolate sauce in their dirt? I'm going to put a little bit of chocolate sauce in there. This water chocolate sauce is going to be so yummy. And then we need some air in our soil. So I have some whipped cream. And it's been in my refrigerator for a while, so I don't know what's going to happen. But we'll have fun. I'm sure it'll taste delicious. All right, so I'm going to put some air in my soil. A little air. Oh, that's not really coming out so great. Uh-oh. Okay, I've got some air. Oh, we need some plants and animals, don't we? So I have this green wafer shreds. I used these last year when I was making some cupcakes. So I have those in my pantry. They look like grass or plants. So I thought that would be kind of good for plants. Those in there. Okay. I'm going to take a look and see how it's looking. Looking pretty good, huh? This dirt is going to be really yummy. So we have lots of things in our dirt so far. How about that was plants. Oh, we need some animals. So let's see. Oh, I have some sprinkles here from Easter, and I've got like these little bunny sprinkles, so maybe that can be like our animals. A few of those in there. Okay, got our animals. Is there anything else we need? Is there anything I'm forgetting? I think that's good. Let's give it a good mix and try it out. What do you think? All right, so soil or dirt has so many different things in it. It has clay, silt, humus, rocks, water, dead plants and animals, living plants and animals, all kinds of stuff. It's all mixed up. It's looking pretty much like some delicious dirt, don't you think? Should I give it a try? Taste it? All right, ready? Gonna go for it. That is so good. Ooh, it's sweet. So you can make some edible dirt at home. Just go through your pantry with an adult and find some things that you'd like to add to make dirt. You could use ice cream. You can use pudding. You can use cereal, crackers, anything in your pantry that you have that's edible. Have some fun with it. Be creative and enjoy it. It's going to be good, you guys. I hope you had a fun time in this lesson today. I hope you asked lots of questions while we were reading, when the story was over. I hope you answered a lot of those questions as well. I had a great time, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.